Don't you always want to be the best you can be?
The Frankie Boyer Show.
What is this?
It's more than a lifestyle show. It's a show about living in today's world.
I think something is happening.
Frankie enthusiastically brings an amazing eclectic mix to the airwaves.
You got that right.
One of the reasons she's earned legions of loyal fans is very simple. When you listen to The Frankie Boyer Show, you just never know what's going to happen next. So listen for yourself. Here is Frankie Boyer.
And welcome. It is so nice to have you with us right here on Biz Talk Radio. It is Frankie Boyer. And wouldn't it be wonderful? Wouldn't it be wonderful if young, old, any entrepreneur, young or old, getting ready to launch a company could find the right venture capitalists and angel investors? Just think about it. How many of you have had the idea but have not gone through with it? Well, joining us today is a woman that is trying to connect entrepreneurs with venture capitalists and angel investors, and it's an organization that's called VC Connection. The woman that founded the company is with us, and Gini Graham Scott. Dr. Scott, welcome to the program. You are some force to be reckoned with. Let me just say that at the beginning, and it's such a pleasure. 250 books. Come on. Tell me how you do this.
Well, I use a creative process. One is I divide the production into, first I write down whatever my thoughts are about that subject, and then I go back with my editorial hat on, and then I revise and edit.
And by the way,
I've
you've
been
done
doing
4
this
features
for several decades, so it's worked.
You have written and been executive producer for 6 film projects, which include
actually it's
4
10
feature.
now.
10, okay. And 4 feature films and a pilot for a TV series, a documentary, and co-producer.
4 documentaries, yes. We're filming
4 documentaries
now.
Wow. Just amazing. So you have all kinds of writers, but first of all, you believe in everyone having a story that needs to get on paper, and I have a couple of friends that feel this way as well. Really important. Explain to us.
I mean, people can go back over their life and their experiences, and then they can, tell their story or give people tips on, what they've learned as a result of their story. And so I think everybody has. I think what everybody doesn't have the ability to do is to actually put it on paper or to organize it. And so I have techniques that I suggest that people use, or sometimes I interview people to get their story out, or I tell them to talk to a tape recorder or a cassette recorder or whatever kind of recorder they have, so that they can speak their story, because not everybody can write it, but then you can use the transcripts, edit the transcripts, because we write very differently than we speak.
Right. Tell us, there's 2 parts to this. There's the part about hooking up the entrepreneurs, which we'll get to in a minute, and then there's the part about telling your story and owning your story.
Right. I think those are 2 different things, because venture capitalists and angel investors are looking for a product or a service or something that they can monetize, whereas your story may not, it may lend to supplement that, but it may not get you, venture capital. It may get you a book deal. It may give you, the therapy of writing down your family. But I think that's very different than trying to appeal to investors about the product, because then they're interested in the product rather than your story.
I think that makes sense. Let me go back to what came first for you? What was it that you sat down decades ago and said, this is the path I want to go. This is how I want it to be.
Well, it started around in my 20s, and I started just doing a lot of writing. And initially, I hate to admit it, but I was hired to write term papers when I was in college. And so I just found that I found sort of a niche there. It helped me get some extra income. I had a lot of Middle Eastern students who came to me, and they needed help. And then they had family members, and their family members came to me. So that's kind of how the writing started. And then after a couple of years, I said, "Well, no, I don't really want to keep doing this. I mean, obviously, you don't want to write term papers for a long time." So then I started. I was in graduate school, and that was the beginning of the transformation movement in psychology. And so I went to a lot of these workshops. And I started using visualization, and then that opened up a lot of doors for writing. And then I had a friend who would take me or hypnotize me when I was in my 20s, and we would go to Macy's department store. And so I would have some dreams, and I would use my dreams to develop games. I don't know. So one thing led to another.
You found, when did you find the company VC Connection?
Of the Publishers Agents Films. It started off about 17 years ago as Publishers Agents, and it was immediately successful. It was the very early days of email, and so I started that, and then the VC Connection goes back to these early days as just an offshoot of Publishers Agents. So I started that, put it on a shelf for a while. And then I brought it back today with in the last couple of months. I started creating this website for it.
Well, yeah, because this is
Publishers Agents Films, which is the
I was just going to say this is just such a perfect time because many people are wondering what they should be doing and how do they take their avocation and now get some gig money from it. And,
okay, well, I guess there
or
are two
maybe
things. One is looking at, what you're doing, and does it really lend itself to a book rather than a product or service? In that case, I've done a lot of memoirs for clients where they will write their memoir, and or I'll help them write it, and then they can get it published. Or many people are self-publishing these days, but what Publishers Agents does is it connects writers to publishers and agents. And then sometimes these can be turned into films, and so an offshoot of that is connecting writers to film producers and to agents. And then if they get to the point where there's actually a screener and you're ready to produce the film, then we go to distributors who distribute the film. So there are all these databases that I've been collecting over the years and updating, and so I send out a query letter. And you want to start off with a very short letter to get people's interest. You don't want to have the whole attachments or anything else. People don't open those. So it's just to open the doors, and then it's between the creator and the people who are interested. And then the VC Connection takes that same model, and it uses that to connect entrepreneurs with investors, with angel investors, and with venture capitalists. And so we just basically use databases that we've put together, and so it makes it easier for somebody rather than having to do all the research.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just saying, is this a good time during COVID to recreate yourself? I think it feels like it's the best time, honestly.
Well, it's funny because for about 4 months, it was just everything just suddenly dropped off, and then all of a sudden, everybody came back because they had all this time. And people, I guess, maybe adjusted to this as the new normal. And suddenly everybody had all these books and projects to write and these desires to turn things into films. Now, a lot of production is shut down right now. But in terms of, but if you're doing independent films, that may not be the case. If it's a small project, I mean, we have a film now that we're producing that's going on in New York right now on bad relationships and what makes a good relationship turn bad and what to do about it. So we're doing basically interviews with individuals, and then we're doing some psychologists and therapists and other people talking about what people do. And
I'm going to have you stop right there because we have to take a quick break. We will be back in just a moment.
Okay.
She does it all. She really does. She's a pistol, you can tell. Gini Graham Scott, PhD, is with us today. And what website do you want to give out? Changemakers Publishing?
Changemakers
and Writing?
Publishing and Writing is one of them for people who want to do writing and publishing. The other one is the VC Connection if people are looking for venture capital.
Okay, and we'll be right back. I'm Frankie Boyer, Biz Talk Radio.